We are very excited about our full modified agenda that we have today. The office staff has prepared a great program for us. The agenda again will be modified. Our speaker will speak a bit earlier, and after his speech, we will have some additional, we will have some additional announcements afterwards. We will begin today's program with the playing of America the Beautiful by Kay Atkins, who will also play double duty, and she will give the invocation and four-way test after she plays America the Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you, President Melinda. Let us pray. We are grateful for the blessings of the past, which give us hope in the future. Help us to actively pursue peace and goodwill wherever we live and work. We champion those in our community who invest in their work and seek excellence. We encourage and nurture those who are working for a vibrant region, a region where families and individuals of all ages can live, work, play, and thrive. This region appreciates its sports teams at every level, from the Pee Wee Leagues to the Olympics. We treasure all the community volunteers, coaches, supporters, and the community leaders who dream big dreams and find ways to implement them. Please support all the brave souls in Ukraine. Bring them back to the peaceful life that they had created for themselves and their loved ones. Watch over all the human beings in the world who are experiencing fear, strife, and displacement. As Rotarians, we work here and around the world with all those seeking better conditions and peaceful coexistence with their neighbors. Amen. Now let us repeat the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you.
Thank you, Kay, for triple duty. You may be seated. Next, we will have our Sergeant at Arms today, Bill Stilley, give a special welcome to our guests. Following Bill will be Brian Vielhauer of MagTech, our meeting sponsor for today's program. We would also like to give a special welcome to our members, friends, and guests on Zoom. And we thank Marita Wade as she is the greeter for our members who are watching us from afar. So thank you. Again, we'll have Bill Stilley. Before Bill Stilley comes, we'll have just a brief announcement from our district governor who's with us, Carol Hughes. Carol?
Thanks, Melinda. Thanks for inviting me today. What a great gathering we have. When I spoke at your club a few months ago, there was maybe a quarter of this number of people here, so I'm super excited to see people back at meetings, connecting with your fellow Rotarians and doing all the good work that you do in our communities. If you did not meet me when I was here last year, I have a whole bag of pins, the theme pins for this year, if you'd like to come and get one from me. And I hope to see you at one of our events coming up here in the spring. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you very much, District Governor.
Thank you, President Melinda, and welcome to Cincinnati Rotary Club number 17, the 17th oldest Rotary Club in the United States, in the world, and the known universe. We'd like to welcome guests, visitors, and potential members. As I announce your name, if you would, please stand up so that we could recognize you. Andrea Tall is with First Commonwealth Bank and is a guest of Brett LeBar. Audra McIntosh is a guest of Brian Vielhauer. Barry Whitten is with the USS Cincinnati Foundation and a guest of Steve Dreyfall. Craig Feltner with Supporting Strategies is a guest of Rick Flynn. Ian Liddell is with Summit Financing, a guest of Steve King. Also with the USS Cincinnati Foundation is Jim Brokaw. Jim Gerwe is here from 8451 and a guest of Steve King. Katie Metz is with Block Ministries and is the Director of Development there. She's a guest of Gary Walton. Nancy Kenninger is a guest of Jim Crowley. Nina Marks, a guest of Esteban Calais. Phil Schneider is with Idea Public Schools and is a guest of Sarah Pattison. Vanessa Gonzalez, a guest of Mario Dominguez. And Tasha Stapleton with 3CDC, a guest of President Melinda Kelly. Welcome to Rotary.
While Brian Vielhauer is coming up, we're going to have a special hello from our Spanish-speaking table.
Buenas tardes, mis amigos rotarios. Solo les quiero dar la bienvenida y si quieren participar en nuestra mesa de español, aquí está. For those of you guys that want to practice and learn Spanish, we have a table here that we're going to try to just speak Spanish. So you guys are welcome to join us.
How about them animals? I would like to thank the Rotary Club. It's wonderful to be in front of you yet again. I am Brian Vielhauer, your favorite decal man, who has now converted to the magnet business, just when you thought I wasn't sticking around. I'm telling you, you guys really did miss me, didn't you? So Decal Impressions had an exciting opportunity at the end of 2021 to take over Magnet Technology and kind of shore up our supply chain. It's an industry I'm familiar with from way back. It was my first job working for the plant manager of this company, and they had a challenge that befell them as a result of the pandemic. They just didn't have a plan that was intact to keep the company moving forward. So it's a great opportunity for myself and my team to expand our footprint in the region. We are now located in beautiful West End and in Lebanon, Ohio, in a beautiful 20,000 square foot building. We've got almost 2 generations of extrusion and manufacturing capacity under roof, and it's really an exciting time for our industry, and it's an exciting time to be in manufacturing in America. So we were able to secure some more jobs. We're able to do things that people need to keep their businesses running, keep their industry running. And when you think of magnets, you no longer have to just think about the one that says, don't go in your refrigerator, fatty, wait till tomorrow. You can actually realize the gasket that holds the refrigerator shut is magnetic. We're needing stronger magnets to keep me out of it. So really happy to be here today and want to say thank you to all. Great to see everyone. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you very much, Brian. Next, we will have new member introductions. We have 2 new members who will be introduced today by our President-elect, Steve King.
President Melinda, you say that with a little too much glee in your voice. Thank you, everyone. I do get the pleasure of introducing 2 new members today. The first one is my friend Matt Allen. Matt, will you step over here, please? Thank you. Matt is from Chattanooga, Tennessee. He attended the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. He earned a Bachelor of Science in Construction Management. Matt is a recent transplant, coming to Cincinnati from Jacksonville, Florida, and he's taken a position with Miller Valentine Construction as a project manager. One of the first things Matt did in Cincinnati was visit our very own Club 17. Matt tells me he was struck by our broad community involvement, but especially by the warm welcome he received from the members. In fact, he completed his membership application that same day. He credits his family and his involvement with Rotary Interact Club in high school for his passion and eagerness to serve. Matt served as the president of his Interact Club and was proud of their work. They host an annual Veterans Day breakfast. They organized the Tennessee River cleanup. They ran setup and cleanup for the National Cornbread Festival. It's a lot of crumbs, Matt. He shared with me that if you haven't been to the National Cornbread Festival, you should put it on your calendar. Matt, I think we might need a cornbread committee. I think I will be your first member. Sounds delicious. In recent years, Matt has been involved in mentoring high school students interested in the construction trades through the Associated General Contractors of North and South Florida. Matt is really looking forward to getting involved with the Rotary and the Rotaract Club and participating in many hands-on service projects. How are you with honeysuckle?
Excellent.
So apparently they have honeysuckle in Tennessee. Matt's a pro. Matt lives in Oakley and hopes to jump on the Bengals and the Fc Cincinnati bandwagons. Please join me in giving a warm Rotary welcome to Matt Allen. Picture here? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Come on up, Stephanie. It is now my pleasure to introduce my friend Stephanie Sheard. Stephanie is a graduate of the UC College of Pharmacy and practiced in retail, hospital, and mail order settings before hanging up her white coat to launch a style service for women, focusing on closet cleansing and wardrobe rebuilding. Stephanie has grown her brand, Steph Style 101, into a full-time career and as a lifestyle and fashion influencer, working with many local and national businesses. She loves sharing her amazing finds with her 23,000 followers on Instagram. I don't think I can get my 3 children to follow me on Instagram. When Stephanie isn't busy working on her business, you can find her at group fitness classes, concerts, theater performances, volunteering in women's ministry, or leading worship with her church. Stephanie has jumped into Rotary with both feet and joined the membership development, social media, and Rotary Chorus committees. Stephanie resides in Blue Ash with her husband, Bob, of 21 years, and her children, Abby, 15, and Blake, 12. Please like, subscribe, and give a warm Rotary welcome to Stephanie Sheard.
Thank you very much, President-elect Steve, and welcome Stephanie and welcome Matt. Next, we will have Owen Rassman, the president of our Rotary Foundation. He's going to give us a brief update on Camp Allen. Following Owen, we will have Al Conscious, who will introduce our speaker. As I mentioned earlier, we have modified our agenda today, and our announcements and split the pot will come after our speaker presents. Thank you.
Thank you, President Melinda. A few weeks ago, we informed everyone that this year is the 100th anniversary of Camp Allen. And with that, we're doing a construction project to bring the buildings up to date and enhance the pickup area for the children out there. And as part of that, as you remember, August 27th, that's in all your in your phones, is our celebration date. It's not a fundraiser, it's a celebration. We'll be able to show you the new Camp Allen. And if you look up at the picture, it's hard to see, but that's the original Lake Allen, Camp Allen, back when it was 42 acres. And we now have gone to 100 acres because we picked up 54 adjoining acres last year, and it just gives more space for stepping stones to do their great work. So every 2 weeks, we're going to give you sort of a history update of Rotary and Camp Allen. They asked me to do the first 10 years from 1910 to 1920. It's interesting how things have developed from then till now. So for the next 10 or 12 weeks, every 2 weeks, we're going to give you a little history update, and I'll try to do this quickly. So in 1910, Cincinnati Rotary began in August of 1910 with 8 members. Dues were $3 per year. Paul Harris, we all know Paul Harris, visited the club in February of 1911. After the first year, we grew from 8 members to 100 in 1 year. In the second, jumping 2 years ahead, we went from 100 to 141. In 1913, the board passed a resolution that any purchase by our office over $3, it need to get 3 outside bids. That is also the year that the Titanic sunk, just why that's on there. But let's see. We also in 1914, we became the world's largest club, Club 17, Bill Stilley, at 315 members. Rotary then became international with Canada, Great Britain, Scotland, Hawaii, and Cuba in 1916. Let's see. Their biggest thing they took on in 1916 was they did work among the unfortunates at Branch Hospital, which is in Hamilton, which was a tuberculosis hospital. They put on a big Christmas party for everyone, over 2,000 people, for $707. And finally, Larry Denman joined our club. He's one of our largest foundation benefactors. He joined the club in 1918, and in 1920, we topped out at 443 members, and you'll get a further update in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Hearing Owen talk about the hospitals reminded me that we've had some comments about Tri-Health with their sign in their parking lot that says COVID testing in the rear. So we've checked. It is a nasal test. You're welcome. Today we're very happy to have Jeff Berding. He's co-CEO and president of FC Cincinnati. Jeff is, he brought the professional soccer team to town along with Carl Linder III in the summer of 2015 with its arrival in the Major League Soccer League for the 2019 season, just 4 years after its founding. FC Cincinnati became the benchmark for organic growth and community-driven sports interest. Now in its 4th year in MLS, the club is focused on growing its place in the Greater Cincinnati region in its new home, a world-class, privately funded $250 million 2QL stadium in the West End next to Over-the-Rhine. Prior to his August 2015 founding of FC Cincinnati, Jeff served for more than 19 years as an executive with the Cincinnati Bengals, which is where I first met him, where he led sales and public affairs efforts for the city's NFL franchise. He's also a former city council member. Jeff is a 5th-generation Cincinnatian, born and raised in Westwood, where he attended St. X High, graduated cum laude from Miami University, and earned his master's in business administration with honors from Xavier in 1999. He has 3 children, and with his wife Lindsay, they reside in Mount Lookout. We're very happy to welcome Jeff Berding.
Well, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be with you. This is, I think, my 3rd time, 2nd time in this room, and I always enjoy coming to visit. Because I have a little bit of a political background, I studied politics and government and history at Miami University. I admire all of you in this organization. This country was built upon civic organizations like this, where people got together from different walks of the community and shared love of country, service to community, building a fellowship, building of inclusivity and leadership development. It's what made this country great. And so anytime I have an opportunity to come speak, an invitation from Al or President Melinda, I'm always happy to come. So thank you very much for the invitation. I'm going from here to City Hall to award the new mayor an FC Cincinnati jersey. So I'm going to try to be entertaining, and then I'm going to be on my way so you can have split the pot, okay? By the way, if anyone's looking to go down to the National Cornbread Festival, I looked it up, it's April the 22nd. If we don't have a game, let me know. Lindsay and I might tag along. We're empty nesters now. I have 2 kids at Loyola of Chicago. My oldest, fortunately, graduated from Miami and is now independent, so that's a good thing. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of FC Cincinnati. We're about to start our 2nd year at TQL Stadium. And it is a little bit of a reset. Last year we opened the stadium in COVID. We had 20% attendance. Didn't really feel like an opening day. Obviously, by the time the season really got underway, of course, we were back to 100%. I was down there earlier today, and they're taking down what I call the hockey plexiglass around the team benches, because God forbid we couldn't have fans that might scream encouragement for the team and breathe on the players. So all the plexiglass is now coming down, and I look out over and I see people without masks. I see nice smiling faces. I recognize some folks more, and so it's certainly good to be back in person, right, with fellowship. So we start our 2nd season this Saturday night, 6 p.m. against DC United. I'm going to give a little bit of an overview of the FC story. Some of you have heard it before. Talk a little about the stadium, a little bit about the national team match we hosted. I'm going to talk a little about World Cup. People ask me about World Cup, why it's important, a little bit about what we're doing around the stadium, and I thought I'd end on sports betting. So a little bit about FC Cincinnati. I was at the Bengals for as was noted, 20 years. I grew up on the Big Red Machine. I grew up here in Cincinnati. I was born in 67, so 75, 76 were formative years. I played baseball. I grew up on the west side. Pete Rose, my dad played baseball against Pete Rose. He told me that. I didn't believe it. 2015, I see Pete Rose in a suite at the Reds, or at the Bengals. I had helped him, and he says, Berding, did you grow up here in Cincinnati? Yeah. Did your old man play baseball? I said, he did. He said, he didn't play for Elder. He played for Roger Bacon, didn't he? I said, yeah. He says, your dad was a good ball player. I said, that's what he tells me. He says, no, really, your dad was a good ball player. So I love the Reds, and I was blessed to be at the Bengals for a long time. But my 3 kids loved soccer the way I grew up loving the Big Red Machine. And I thought it was unfortunate that my kids, their home team that they rooted for was in Manchester, England. And I thought, no, I want them to have their hometown team to root for. So I'm at the Bengals. I look at this data. In 2004, according to the NFL, the top 10 sports in America per the ESPN Chilton poll and Nielsen TV ratings, top 10 sports, of course, the number 1 was the NFL. Number 10 was women's figure skating. Soccer wasn't on that chart. By 2014, soccer was the 4th most popular sport and became 3rd if you said under the age of 45. In 10 short years, soccer had had tremendous growth. And so I was probably a little audacious enough to think that I could write a business plan that would bring a 3rd major league team to Cincinnati. So I wrote a business plan. I took it to the Bengals. I took it to the Reds. Neither had real interest. I went up to UC and saw then President Santaono, talked about young people, talked about the international sport, the most popular sport in the world, talked about the one sport with global currency as the world's coming smaller. Let's get in on the world sport. When you welcome all these students from around the world to campus, this is a sport that unifies people. When you have all these young families who play soccer, the data, Cincinnati had more kids playing soccer than any sport in any city in the Midwest. So we were over-indexing from youth participation, of course, both boys and girls. And so Santaono bought the vision. January of 15, I get a call from Carl Lindner, says, I understand you're trying to bring professional soccer to Cincinnati. Do you have your owner yet? And I said, well, I don't have a place to play yet. No one's going to invest $5 million, which is what I had it would take, before I could answer the fundamental question, Jeff, where would the team play? And Carl said, well, you may not know this, but I'm on the board of trustees, and last night at our meeting, we approved your plan. You now have a place to play, so back to my question, could I be your owner? And I said, well, I didn't have a big list of people to call, and you were at the top of the list. I had met Carl and, of course, his father previously. So he had me over for lunch that same day. Walked him through my plan. He said, let's join forces. My kids played soccer, and I think this is going to be a big deal. He said, you know, think about Cincinnati right now, the Big Red Machine. You can't imagine Cincinnati without the Reds. I think 100 years from now, people will say, I can't imagine Cincinnati without the soccer team. So let's do this. Long story short, I went back and told the Bengals, hey, Katie and Troy, this thing might happen. They obviously were, yeah, that's fine. It's good for the city. Keep us posted. In May, we went up to see MLS because the plan was we were going to have to earn our way with a minor league team and then grow up and hopefully earn a promotion. We heard what we needed. Carl and I went to dinner, and he said, okay, Jeff, here's the deal. My family and I are all in on one condition. You got to leave the Bengals and run the team. That had never been discussed. And he said, you have the political background, the soccer background, you know sports from the Bengals. You got to do this. So without consulting the wife, shook hands. Because I wanted this to happen for my kids. We view this as, like all our owners do, a legacy investment. And so that is how we started. That's why we exist. We really do believe sports teams have an obligation to lead, inspire, and unite. You think of all the things that sort of divide us. In those great moments when the fans are cheering, hugging, celebrating big victories, we saw some of those scenes at the Bengals over the past couple months. No one was asking the person they're hugging or high-fiving, you know, who do you worship? Where do you go to church? Who do you love? Where do you live? Who'd you vote for? It's unifying as this great expression of our civic pride in a real human experience, the best of human experiences when we celebrate that. And so sports teams have an obligation because you give us your emotion. You give us your pride. And so we feel that. So here's our core values, what matters most to us. Right? We want to create community impact. We want to be brand and fan focused. We want to represent the city with pride. We're going to develop champions from within. That's a new one. We've burned people out over this 6 year. I use the analogy. Over the last 6 years, we climbed Everest in like record time. And it started out with 6 people, and then it went to 20 people, and then it went to 40 people, and eventually we got to Everest with 150 people. But guess what? A lot of people didn't make it. They were like, this is too fast, this is too intense, it's too much. They tapped out, or other people just didn't have it. They were minor league employees, and we were major league, and we had to upgrade. And so it was very difficult. So now developing champions from within is something that we're very focused on. And then, of course, we're going to compete as a team and be inclusive. And so, again, the journey we launched in 15, we played our first game in 16. Just to give you a little sense, our league attendance, average league attendance in the minor leagues was about 3,400. The first game we drew 14,000, and it was the smallest attendance we've ever had. When we went up to MLS for the expansion bid, you could see we were awarded in 2017, 18, and then we entered in 2019. Went before the expansion committee. We had 1.6 million in merchandise sales our first year. We had 1.8 million in our third year. The league average in Major League Soccer was about 400,000. These expansion owners were like, that's a lie. And I said, no. And they're like, well, that's more than any of us. And I said, that's why you're going to admit us. You know? Our average attendance was 26,000 our third year. And that's because we view it as we were invested in the community. We built a relevant sports brand in the community. Again, people's word of mouth. I'm not a soccer fan. You don't have to be. Just come. It's 2 hours. 7 o'clock. By 9 o'clock, you'll be on your way home. You'll be on your way to have dinner with your friends. You can get the kids home to sleep. But there's something that's different. I'm a Xavier basketball season ticket holder. I have Broadway series season tickets. But there's something about these passionate fans that have the smoke and the drums and the songs and the chants. And it creates this very energetic experience that, again, the whole point is to represent the community and provide a really inclusive, fun experience. And, of course, ultimately winning, because we see with the Bengals that when they're winning, it really is awesome. And I saw Zach Taylor yesterday at the Combine. Zach's my neighbor in Mount Lookout, so I've gotten to know him a little bit. And he said, hey, listen, the first 2 years weren't too great for me. And everyone was still encouraging. And being around town, I still felt a lot of positive energy. And look what happened. He says, now it's time. This is Zach. Now we got to support the Reds and FC Cincinnati, because they're going to represent our community in a way that makes us feel good. So, we're all pulling together to make this a great sports vibe, which lifts the spirits and represents on the national and, for us, the international stage. We came into the league in 8 months. Just to give you a sense, Charlotte played the first match last week as an expansion team. They were awarded their expansion bid 4 years ago. St. Louis got 4 years ago. They haven't even started playing yet. They start next year. And we started 8 months because the league made that a requirement. They said, hey, we want you, Cincinnati, Carl. We want you, but 2 conditions. One is you have to build the stadium downtown. And 2, you got to come into play next year. And we were like, well, everyone else got 2 years. Nashville's going to get 2 years. They said, well, we have 23 teams. We want to, even it out. You guys come in. And candidly, we rushed into the league, didn't know what we didn't know, had some international folks who knew international soccer but didn't know our league. And so we've reset now with a GM and a head coach who come from Philly, where they had lots of winning as frankly, a team that didn't invest a lot, but they developed and they won. So our community impact, I've made that a key point, that we're going to be an organization that gives back. We tried to model the Reds Community Fund. Owen and the folks at the Reds, Phil, they're all good friends. And so I'm proud that we have the largest foundation in Major League Soccer. We have the largest community relations staff in Major League Soccer. We signed a community benefits agreement with our neighbors in the West End. We've exceeded every element of the community benefit agreement. Our stadium was built with 77% inclusion. Over $170 million was spent with MBEs, WBEs, and SBEs. And if you come to our games, you're going to see a lot of people from the West End working on game days. And if you were to come down to our office, you'll see people from the West End, actually full-time employees, of FC Cincinnati. So a little bit about our stadium, 26,000 seats, 53 suites. We have 4 different clubs and representing 4,500 seats. Just to give you a sense, this is the biggest soccer stadium in the country. We were down in Austin last week. Austin Stadium, 20,700 sellout. Columbus Crew's about 21,000. The league told us, you got to build a smaller stadium, not 26, build 21. You have scarcity. I said, we have 28,000 season tickets. What am I going to do? Just raise prices? Tell people that they, no, that's not what our values are. So just to give you a sense, extra 5,000 seats, 21 to 26, cost an extra $50 million. But that was the right thing to do. So we have tickets as low as $20, and we do that in a way to, again, try to live our values. So it's been called the greatest soccer stadium in the country. There's going to be an award given here in the next couple weeks for the best soccer stadium in the world. And TQL Stadium's been nominated, not by us, but by U.S. Soccer and some other folks that would put our stadium up there. We hosted in our first game last year, Miami. The president of Miami came from Barcelona. In the second game, some people came from NYCFC, one of the clubs we compete against. They're owned by Manchester City, the English Premier League. So you're talking Man City and Barcelona, 2 of the biggest clubs in the world, played in stadiums all over the world. And their presidents of both those groups told us this would get rate with any soccer stadium in the world because we have what they call a proper soccer pitch, the field, the seats along the field, but we have all the amenities you would expect in an American NFL building. And I worked at the Bengals, and so I had a chance to go to a lot of NFL stadiums, and I obviously borrowed some ideas. Now, I have to be honest, it was a little easier when the county was paying the bills than, our owners, but at the end of the day, we have a great stadium that allows us to have big events like World Cup qualifiers, USA, Mexico, and the like. So this year in November, we did host the biggest soccer match in this North America every 4 years. It's the USA-Mexico qualifier. US won 2-0, 26,000. This was broadcast worldwide because it's one of the biggest soccer events in the World Cup qualifying cycle. So lots of recognition on Cincinnati. Of course, people come in ahead of the game, stay in the hotels. We had about 95% hotel. I'm also the chairman of the Board of Convention and Visitors Bureau. Julie and all the hotel folks were all very happy with us for winning that game. By the way, that game used to be in Columbus, and we were designing our stadium. People were talking about some of the decisions we're making, and I said, well, we're going to take USA-Mexico from Columbus. And they're like, oh, come on. And I'm like, no, we're going to build the best stadium, and we're going to make it so U.S. Soccer can't but choose Cincinnati. And of course, right, that's what happened. So a little bit about World Cup. 2016, I mentioned, was our first year. So we get the call in December of 2016, hey, do you want to apply for MLS expansion? We didn't expect it to be after the first year, but okay, so we did it. In 17, they announced that they're looking for host cities for World Cup in 2026, where the U.S. was competing to win, meaning like they hadn't won it yet, but we were going to get in. So I told my chief of staff at the time, who was helping me with expansion, say, hey, we're also going to apply for World Cup. And he's like, we got our hands full with expansion. I said, don't worry about it. We'll get it done. So we applied. And then in 2018, USA, Mexico, Canada, referred to as the United bid, was awarded. And then they start pairing the list. And so now there's 17 cities competing for what we believe to be 11 spots. We'll find out probably at the end of March or maybe the first 2 weeks of April whether or not we've won. The games will be played at Paul Brown Stadium and really gives us an opportunity again to promote the region. So just some folks might go, come on, Cincinnati, Nick Vierk, let's, come on, move on. Remember Nick with the Olympics? He was really just a couple decades ahead of his time. Nick's actually working with us on this. But here's the thing, guess who we've already beaten out? Chicago, Indianapolis, Detroit, Minneapolis. The cities that we're competing against are largely East Coast, who you would expect, 2 in Florida, 2 in Texas, 3 on the West Coast. And then in the center of the country, it's Denver, Kansas City, Atlanta, Nashville, Cincinnati. That's it. And U.S. Soccer has said they want this to be a World Cup that represents the whole country, and we feel we proudly fly the banner of the heartland, the heart of our country. And in fact, we have the governors of Indiana supporting us, Michigan supporting us, Kentucky supporting us. We have letters of support from all the major cities in the Midwest saying that we want this to be in Cincinnati. Now, you might ask, why Jeff, should this matter? So I'm just going to give you a couple statistics here. So the Super Bowl with the Bengals was the top watched Super Bowl in 5 years. 120 million people watched the Super Bowl. Okay, the World Cup, the final match, 1.1 billion watched the final. The entire World Cup, 3.5 billion, that's over half the people on the planet, are going to be watching World Cup. If we're viewed as one of the 11 top cities for soccer, imagine all the eyeballs. So when we're competing for North American headquarters, we're competing for talent, people to come to our universities and whatnot, tourism, Cincinnati's in the top echelon of cities. And then in terms of the economic impact, here's some statistics. The Major League Baseball All-Star Game in 2015 was $60 million economic impact. First round NCAA, which we missed out on because we don't have a good arena, is about 3.5 to 12 million. The 2019 World Series, 2 games in Washington, D.C. was 6.5 billion. Nashville just did an economic impact study that said if Nashville wins, it's $700 million in economic impact. We've seen a more conservative estimate of 400 million, but again, that's akin to any of those things and also akin to hosting a Super Bowl. So you can imagine why we're competing so strong to get this, and we should find out relatively soon. We're also developing the area around our stadium. We own much of the property to the north of our stadium. And if any of you have been in Washington, D.C., maybe you're familiar with an area called the Wharf. It's by the Nationals ballpark. The soccer stadium is also nearby. But we own the Tri-State building, which is the bigger building next to the ballet. The ballet connected into it, and we're going to turn that into a commercial office that's really open floor plans. If you think about Over-the-Rhine, very narrow floor plans, and so this is much more open. And so currently, Cushman & Wakefield representing us to lease that area. We're going to build a lot of multifamily, had a lot of good conversations with the city of Cincinnati regarding affordable housing being a part of that component. And ultimately, some what we call destination retail. There'll be a hotel there and some restaurants and whatnot. That's a picture of what the Tri-State building would become. I think we're calling this the Pitchside Center now. It shows you a little bit inside it. And then you may also seen some discussions about the renovation of Central Parkway. Central Parkway, for those of you who've been around a bit, that used to be one of Cincinnati's grand boulevards. At one time, the subway was coming in underneath Central Parkway. Way back when, it was part of the Miami-Erie Canal. But it was a grand boulevard that hasn't aged well. And so private sector interests, some of you know Chris Collinsworth has a company, PFF, Pro Football Focus. They're there, of course, Music Hall, some of the other building owners on Central Parkway. If you think about from what we call the elbow up to Finley Market, the thought is to turn it, restore it back to being a grand boulevard. Some of it would be a limited amount of city transportation dollars. Some of it would be federal infrastructure. There's some buckets about restoring neighborhoods, reconnecting neighborhoods. This obviously would sort of reconnect Over-the-Rhine with the West End, and then private dollars coming in. And really, we think the goal is to create a great front door to the city, into the city, in time for World Cup. And then I'm going to talk briefly about sports betting. Sports betting was made legal in Ohio at the end of 2021. It'll be in place by approximately Labor Day is what they're telling us. So think about the start of the college football, start of the NFL season. Just to give you a sense of sports betting, Some 112 million Americans, more than a third of the population, live in states where they can legally wager on sports without leaving their couch. 3 new states, including Ohio, will be online by the beginning of this year, joining 29 other states where it's already legal. It's more than a $87 billion industry where legal bets are being made in the U.S. Some 40 million Americans were placing bets in the NFL regular season. It was probably close to double that for the Super Bowl. New Jersey alone, 1.26 billion. The way the bill passed in the legislature, we had a coalition. We worked closely with the Reds and the Bengals and the other professional sports teams, given that we pay the players and put on the competition, where each team is allowed a mobile app that we effectively will have a partner who will operate it. That could be a FanDuel, a DraftKings, a Superbook, Caesars, whatnot. As well as so can the casinos and the racinos in Ohio. So you'll have approximately 30 to 40 apps that you could download to then legally place bets on any sporting event in the world. So not just in Ohio, but you have to place your bet on that app while you are in Ohio. Each team is also given the right to have a brick and mortar. Effectively, think of like a BW3s where you're watching, sports, but you could also place bets. Our point has been that it's already legal in most of the states. It's growing. The Supreme Court said that each state can decide for themselves, and people were obviously making illegal bets, and so this brings it out. The state taxes it, and it's an opportunity to have a more vibrant legal marketplace. I bring it up for this reason. When I was at the NFL, fantasy football was a big boost to NFL. People who would not watch the Monday Night Football game were watching the Monday Night Football game because their quarterback or their receiver was going to dictate whether or not they won the week. Women started playing fantasy football, so then women engagement in the NFL grew materially. Why just let the guys have all the fun? Fantasy football is something that anyone can do. And the money involved in fantasy football, for the most part, is very, very small, but it adds an element of fun and joy for many people. What we've seen in other countries around soccer is that the average bet's $20. So it's not as if people are going to the casino for a couple hours playing blackjack. But it did boost engagement, fan interest in soccer. Obviously, in other countries, it's the number one sport. Here it's not. But we think that this hopefully gives people a reason to maybe pay a little bit more attention, right, to soccer as this sport continues to grow in the country. So those are a couple of the things that we're working on. I'm very blessed to have the job. It's never boring. I always appreciate the opportunity to come visit with you and talk a little bit about FC. So thank you all very much. Appreciate your time. Is that okay?
Thank you very much, Jeff. We would like to award you a pin. Our theme for this year, 2022, is Serve to Change Lives, and you do an excellent job of that. So thank you very much for giving us an update, a little bit of the history and the update of FC Cincinnati. Also, we will give a donation to Rotary International on behalf of the eradication efforts, which began in 1980. So let's give Jeff another round of applause. Next, we will have membership events from Michael Schatzman. Following Michael Schatzman, we will have a personal development series announcement given by Sam Schutte.
Good afternoon. No, come on. Good afternoon. There we go. That's more like it. Now, everybody at your table, you have one of these. Pick it up. Try not to spill it on somebody else. Everybody got it? Look around, give them a little, hey, how you doing? Okay, so what you are holding in your hand is a reminder about our next neighborhood coffee event. Tuesday, March 15th, 8 a.m. till 9:30. It's at a new place for us called The Fix Coffee House. So you can get your coffee fix at The Fix Coffee House. Yeah, that works. So please join us for that. Now, I have a couple of other things that were not on the agenda that I've been asked to talk about here off the cuff. The second of my 3 items is to remind everyone about Irish. I was a Rotarian. Now, this is a networking, membership, prospective member, fun event being held at the Irish Heritage Center of Greater Cincinnati. It's a prospective member event, so you prospective members, join us. If you have someone who's a prospective member, please bring them for that event. The event will feature Irish drinks, light bites, and dancers from the McGing Dance Academy featuring lead dancer, soloist Michael Schatzman. Sarah, who wrote this? Okay, well, these knees can barely walk, so just imagine me doing an Irish jig. No, it's not going to be pretty. You'll wake up screaming in the middle of the night. Okay, so we're Rotarians. What do? We wait till the last minute. Well, I'm here to tell you, folks, it's officially the last minute. RSVP due today. That would be now. So get them into the office, do it today. Lastly, the third thing, and this might actually be the most important thing I have to talk about today, if I can be a little more serious for a change. I'd like to give a shout out to someone who is a tireless Rotarian, fights for us every single day. And earlier this week, she celebrated her 12th anniversary with the club. So please give a shout out to our very own Christy. Would you please stand and be recognized? Hear, 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 hear. We couldn't do it without you, Christy. Thank you. Okay, that's it for me. Sam will talk about our next, whatever it is Sam's going to talk about. Maybe the 131 Club. Who knows?
Michael Schatzman, everybody. All right, so next Thursday we are having a professional development series about using a podcast to grow and develop your business. Some of you know I've had a podcast for the last 3 years or so that I've got 50 plus episodes on. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about that event. So that's next Thursday at 10:30 a.m. Till noon. You can sign up for it with the Rotary office. I think, is that going to be in the Julep Room? Christy, do we know? Yes, Julep Room, which is right down the hallway here. So a few statistics of why you should be interested in this that I thought was interesting. So podcast listeners have grown 30% per year every year since 2018. About 57% of Americans have listened to podcasts. The fastest growing audience for podcast listeners is ages 55 and up who listen. That base grew 20% just last year. And more Americans listen to podcasts than have Netflix accounts, 80 million Americans. And those are 80 million people who listen to an average of 8 podcasts a week, right? Maybe some of you are in that group, maybe you're not. So what I've found is great to have a podcast is getting your message out there, letting people learn about who you are as a business owner, what you care about, what makes you tick, through interviewing a lot of friends I have and folks in my network. It's kind of about it. And the best thing is you don't have to be on camera like you would for video. So anyway, 10:30 tomorrow, 10:30 next Thursday. Sign up at the office. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Michael, and thank you so much, Sam. The professional development series is great. We had one already, and we have 2 more coming up, and looking forward to that. So please make sure you sign up. We have one very quick, brief message from our district governor, Carol Hughes.
Yes, thank you so much. Don Nyer was recognized at our foundation dinner last week as a new major donor. I'd just like him to stand and everybody recognize him.
Don Nyer is not here.
Oh, he's not here. Okay.
He's not here today, but as Carol said, he was recognized as a major donor.
Please thank him on behalf of Rotary International.
Thank you very much. Next, I'll go through our announcements very quickly. We have several members who have celebrated birthdays this week and upcoming as well. March 2nd, Terry Boeing. March 3rd, Bill Henrick. March 4th, Corbin Scherzinger. March 5th, K.L. Allen. And March 6th, Nathan Musgrove. Let's give them a round of applause and wish them a happy birthday. Next, we will do Split the Pot. We'll ask our foundation president, Owen Rassman, to pick the winning number. Let's see if we can give away the accumulating pot this week, which is, drum roll, $1,227. Guests are eligible for the first ticket draw, and then Club 17 members are eligible for the accumulating pot. And the winning ticket number, the last 4 digits are 8, 6, 3, 2. 8, 6, 3, 2.
I'm donating that back to something. Where's that?
The winning ticket was $60.
I may keep this.
And Owen is donating the $60 back. I do have the winning ticket here. I'll get a second person to look at it, be sure. He did not get the Queen of Hearts, so thank you so much, President of the Foundation, Owen. Let's give him a round of applause. So we'll put this back in the pot, too. All right, so District 6670 days of service will be Saturday, April 30th. Will be April 30th, and we have District Governor Carol here. She'll be glad to give us some additional information on that. It will be a National Rebuilding Day in Dayton, and there are certain areas of improvement, a children's garden, a solar garden, and other projects in Dayton's Edgemont, Miami Chapel, and Madden Hill neighborhoods. We will start at 8 o'clock and go until noon on that date, April 30th. Family of Rotary, Bill and Nancy Schuler, would you please stand if you're here? They have 2 new grandchildren. Congratulations. Bridget was born in January, and Declan was born in February. And so this makes 7 grandchildren for them. So congratulations, Bill and Nancy. Also, congratulations goes to Esteban Calais. Esteban, please stand. He is out of 300 professionals that applied in Cincinnati. Esteban was one of 56 who were chosen to participate in Sea Change this year for Cincinnati. So let's give him a round of applause. Esteban will be glad to tell you a little bit more about Sea Change. He's over at the Spanish table, so remember, if you come next week and you want to learn a little Spanish or practice your Spanish, feel free to join them over there. Help us congratulate as well Galen Gordon. I don't think Galen is with us today. He has a new position with Kinley Hotel Cincinnati. And next week, our speaker will be from 3CDC. Our speakers will be Joe Rudemiller and Tasha Stapleton. And Tasha is here today. Stand, Tasha. She will be part of our speakers on the agenda next week. And she's also going to our classification committee this afternoon. So make sure if you have members or those prospective members who are interested, please have them complete their applications, either a physical application or online, and send those to the office so that they can be en route through the classification committee for membership. We had a great meeting last week where Lori Quinlivan and Ed Mathis conducted this four-way speech contest for students. Please stand, Lori and Ed. You did a great job last week. The students did an outstanding job as well on very short notice, and so thank you also for the volunteers from our club who worked with the students at the schools as well. So this afternoon we have 3 meetings. We have the classification meeting, which will be in the Julep Room on the 3rd floor. Our Rotary Cincy Due Days Committee will be in Salon A on the 4th floor. And our Membership Development Committee will be meeting in Boardroom 3 on the mezzanine level. Thank you so very much for attending today. Let us continue to serve to change lives. Meeting adjourned.